Hey everybody, welcome to episode 152 of the Bonehead podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. BT, how you doing today?
Very good. Very good.
Now, it's not often that we get you and Trips in the same place on the same cameras, except for every single Monday, because we're joined once again by the connoisseur of wands, the Highlander himself, Ian Triple Power. Triple O Trips, you good? You doing good?
Very good today. Very good. Nice and warm because the sun is on me.
Oh, someone's Windows is playing up. So we had a whip round and we paid off some officials and we were able to smuggle Miltonio Banderas out of... Anyway, Milton's with us today. How you doing, Milt?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Is this on
background because you can't show other inmates. No.
You
got
do
nothing
have
to do with the enormous mess behind me.
I imagine it is a mess, yeah. No, Milt, it's so nice to see you again. It was good. Obviously, I'm so happy you can join us today, given how you played in Bonehead Bowl and how that went, which we will get to today. So yes, thank you very much for joining us. Other than Bonehead Bowl, BT, what are we talking about today?
We're just going to be talking about the tournament series standings because we wrapped it up last year. With the end of last year with Bonehead Bowl, we wrapped up our year-long tournament series. So we now have all of the winners.
Do you mean
very exciting?
Last year, this year, next year, this next?
I don't know. I thought it was January for a minute. I genuinely did.
It was funny when you sent that comment saying, that my wedding is next year, not this year. I was like, well, are you sure? Like, no, you're right. It is still only November.
Technically, yeah. It's this coming year.
It's Christmas now, right? It's the 20th of November. Yeah. Milton, I know you're away for a bit over Christmas, but I thought you'd have your Christmas decorations up by now.
No, we're not doing it this year. Like, that's it. I put my foot down. I say that it'll probably go out this weekend.
So. I was gonna say, I think we're away the first week in December, so Tiff has demanded that we clean the house from top to bottom this weekend, so that the weekend before we go on holiday, we can put up the Christmas decorations, so that when we come back from holiday, the Christmas decorations are all up.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. You had me at decorations. You lost me at full house clean, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Yes. Anyway, we had Bonehead Bowl, like Ben said. It was the last tournament of the year for the Bonehead tournament series. So, right. Normally, I'd say let's check in on some Blood Bowl news, but guys, correct me here. I don't think there's any Blood Bowl news at all, even on I've not seen anything on Kickstarter.
No, it's been a bit of a dry season. I haven't. There could be, but yeah, I had a quick little skim and I couldn't see anything.
I was going to say
there's nothing for
there
Christmas.
are actually no. Yeah. There was one thing. Did Grebo release their Plexi?
Oh yes,
that
Kickstarter.
Yeah, that might have gone live.
Flexible. Yeah, I think is it finished already?
It might be. I'm completely out of time with everything.
There is nothing live at the moment.
No, I think it's finished.
Yeah. It is?
Well.
No, it finished in October. Okay.
Which was years ago now.
Yeah.
The only thing we're semi-waiting for, and that right, Trips, is potentially the FAQ.
Yes. It is due in November, which means it'll either come out 2 minutes after we finish the podcast, or it'll be late next Thursday as a tiny little update article somewhere.
That would be hilarious. We're recording the podcast again next week because we pushed this one back for a load of reasons. And I think you're right. We're recording again on the 27th, so naturally it'll drop again on the 28th. Anything you guys are looking for with the FAQ this November? May was a long time ago.
I can't think of there's anything that's really standing out that people have just been like, oh, that could get cleared up or that could get changed.
I think
the only thing is maybe
No, you go. I think you called it.
I was going to say Skitter. Yeah,
is maybe making Skitter a megastar. I mean, by himself, he's not amazing. It's just the availability for him to do so much for teams. Like, it's just such a value add. to a team that can then, hi, my team's game is smashing face. So therefore my counterbalance is that I'm a little bit slow and a little bit low on edge. And then you're like, oh, would a gutter runner be any good to you? And you're like, oh, okay then. Yeah.
Yeah, it just fills a gap that nothing else really does, because even dashy teams don't benefit nearly as well having one bash player. That a bash team does having one dash player, because they don't need to do anything apart from run really fast once.
So
yeah.
what do you guys think to them starting to potentially, they don't do this, but maybe something they could do is starting to potentially build star players with a role in mind? So like you're saying there, Ben, like a high edge team needs some bash. Like Willow was always the classic in the olden days, right? You'd take Willow to be a bit of muscle. But what, like, you know, we've got Drool and Dribble. What about like a pair of Black Orcs that could play for a team that the problem is that like no Badlands Brawl teams, they don't need more bash ever. It's just elves and potentially Skaven. The best Skaven can take really is all round, I'd say, is Glart.
Yeah. They can't take Varag, can they? He goes on Underworld.
I don't know if they're Badlands Brawl.
No.
I still don't.
Skaven.
I'm personally not sold on Varag. I know he's done very well, but
Yeah, he's pretty good though.
I can take him.
Yeah. Well, Skaven can take him.
Yeah, he's got the Underworld challenge.
There you go.
yeah, but he's just so expensive that you know what you want is like 180k, 190k, you know, skitter price for a couple of armor 10, strength 3 blockers or something. That is essentially what you are giving Chaos Dwarves or whatever when you give them skitter. Is like, what's the best thing from this team? And there you go, which makes it a bit warpy. And because he's not a megastar, he can combo with other stars, which I think it might be like the bigger thing.
Yeah.
I think, Ben, we were talking about the tournament builds for Beachhead, which we need to announce today, actually. That we need to talk about Beachhead as well. And we were talking about the builds, and I think you were like, wow, they can still take Morgan Skitter or something or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that Skitter needs to be upgraded, because I don't think anyone out there is going to be like, I can't run Skitter now, because it's like, you shouldn't have been able to run Skitter anyway.
And just so we don't have any confusion, in Beachhead you can't take Morgan Skitter.
Yeah,
but,
no, I know. That was when we were talking through the rules. You were like,
"Oh, how we got there?"
Yeah. We're like, cannot do this because they can still do this, and that's suboptimal or a little bit OP.
Just a bit much.
Just a little bit much. Right. With that said, Beachhead is now up on the site. So I tell you what. Let's dive into that immediately. And I'm not going to bother doing a cut or anything. We'll just go straight into it. Ooh, the news bit. Clickety, clickety. That's not right. In which case, we will take a break and we'll be right back.
We should just move that every episode and have it as the random spot the Chaos Dwarf.
So when I was a kid, there were these books called like Find Goldberg. I can't remember what the actual book series is called, but there was this little gold bug in all the pages. And I still remember that because Tiff was like looking at children's books the other day for Libby. And I was like, oh, we need to get this because that was just awesome when I was a kid. Find Goldbug is what it was called. Find
Where's Wally?
Goldbug. Yeah, very much like Richard Scarry books. And he was this little lad. It was just like on every little page, he'd have a little truck. He'd just be this little gold guy and he'd be driving around. There you go. It was so good.
Like this as a kid.
It was so good. Peak childing, that, and I want that for Libby. I do want that for Libby. But anyway, right, Beachhead. So we have dallied, and that is mostly on me because we were contemplating what to do for Beachhead because every year we run 11s on the Saturday and 7s on the Sunday. The attendance is something that doesn't really matter for us. We want to run a great event for whoever is available. And historically, we've always tried to be like, right, if you can come on one day, you can come on one day. But actually, from talking to you guys, from talking to some of the guys at various tournaments throughout the year, we thought we'd take the opportunity to run a 2-dayer. But we've had to get Toyment on board and just make sure that we're all lined up. And then We had a bit of a wobble, but actually we are sticking to Beachhead Bowl. For the first time, we are going to be running a 2-day 11s event. So Saturday is going to be 3 games of 11s and Sunday is going to be 2 games of 11s. It is, the whole thing is one tournament. So if you can only make it on one day, I'm afraid for the first time ever, you can come down on the one day and play games, but you won't be able to score points for all 5 games, right? Now, Beachhead Bowl is at Beachhead Expo, as they're calling it now, which in tournament run every year. They hire out the BIC, the Bournemouth International Centre, which is a big convention centre, and they are going big on a load of stuff this year. So like this is why we think it's really, really, really cool, is because you've got the tournament hall. I think this year it might be the tournament halls. I think they're trying to do, but it's like you've got like an AOS tournament, a 40k tournament, you've got the Blood Bowl tournament. We did what I think it was about 80, I think, for 11s last year. So we got like a big old chonking area full of people playing Blood Bowl, and then at lunchtime you literally go and have a look at the 2 vendors hall. So there's like loads of hobby stuff, loads of nonsense stuff. They've got, I think, the Comic-Con stuff upstairs. They've got TCG tournaments as well. It's a very, very, very cool weekend, and it's a wicked way to basically start the year, because as we all know, like Christmas happens, New Year happens, and January is just a moneyless hangover, generally speaking. And then you're like, February, let's go to Beachhead Bowl. So I mean, BT and Milt, you guys were like the proponents, being like, people want a 2-day 11s, people want a 2-day 11s, Ben, can we please do this? And tell us why you think this is such a good idea. I am on board with this massively.
Yeah, it sort of came from doing a lot of 2-day events this year, particularly. Like it's become like, this year's been a really, really good year for Blood Bowl. Like I think it's sort of probably peaked in terms of like how much people are playing. And in the sort of northern territories of the UK at least, it's quite common to have 2 days and like large events and things like that. But down in the south, it's a little bit rarer. Like you get Thrud.
Yeah.
And I think and there's stuff in Kent, I think.
Yeah, you've got like Kent,
like,
and you've got Wales.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff
where we are.
Yeah,
sort of in the very central south is it's a bit sparse, and I think, seeing as we have got good numbers at Beachhead, it just makes a lot of sense, I think, to be that place to run that 2-day event in the south. And I think it'll be fun, and
it's going to be absolutely fun. But I think Milton can probably speak to this a little bit. Is one thing you guys both said is, well, if I'm traveling down for the weekend, like, it would be cool to just make the most of it into a 2-day tournament, because the 7s is always a lot of fun, and seeing everybody like hungover and tired for the Sunday 7s is much more casual. But I mean, Milton, you got to travel leagues, sea leagues, to get here.
Yeah,
like
bye.
yeah, on the underneath of a truck. And when you're here, like, what are your thoughts on people traveling down for a 2-day tournament versus like just traveling down for a 1-day 11s and then maybe staying for the 7s?
Yeah, I think that well, I think firstly, the 7s has always been really good fun, and I think that, well, I personally believe, we've run Beachhead really successfully since we started doing it. That sort of slow evolution of it, and we've come to a really good point with it. The 7s we've always had as 4 games on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And so what you're talking about, that sort of like hangover, I feel like 2 11s is not quite so intense. And so, yeah, I think, if you're traveling down and you get that sort of overall experience, it's, as Ben said, there's not too many 2-day events. We've got that venue, and the BIC, as you said, is just like a phenomenal venue. You've got the trade show going on, and it just it felt right. And yeah, definitely want to try it, see how it goes. It feels more like an exhibition event, where it's that 2-day event, that kind of over. And if you're coming down, you're staying over, you're going to stay, get a hotel, be in Bournemouth, you get to absorb all the other stuff going on as well.
Yeah, and I think like that, as you alluded to there, with the timings for having 2 days on the Sunday, means you can enjoy the show.
Yeah, that's
you have
a big
bit more
thing.
time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the 7s has always been fantastic, and in some regards, I'll miss the 7s for sure. But that's not to say that we can't have another 7s tournament or do something else with 7s. And if you're not already watching it, go and watch Sevens on Monday Night Blood Bowl.
Hey,
But,
thanks, Will.
Like, so good at plugging.
that was pro. I tell you what, we'll lead into timings because I think that's a really valid link there, Milt. So the Saturday 9:30 registration, 10 o'clock for the first game, lunch 12:15, 1 o'clock for the second game, 3:30 for the third game. So we're shooting for 2-hour rounds here, which means you've got the 2-hour 15-minute full cap. So you've got a little bit of run over time in between rounds as well. So most games are going to finish up 1:45 too. So you've got an extra sort of 15 minutes in between rounds, kind of minimum, to make sure that you can go get a drink comfortably and have a mooch around. Like if you get ruffle stomped in a round, you're going to have half an hour, 45 minutes. And sometimes we see this at tournaments sometimes. Now, tournament's great. You can go and have a look at it. But I mean, an exhibition like an expo is significantly better. So you've got that thing. So those are the three on the Saturday, and on the Sunday we've got 10 a.m. match 4, and then 1 p.m. match 5, and wrap up 3:30 for awards. Now our players are real good. Generally speaking, everybody plays reasonably quickly. So if everyone's back, because we're going to be running this one through tour play, we can have the match 5. We can even have match 4 like pairings set up so everyone knows who they're playing against. So actually, if people want to come in early, then actually we've got the chance to start early, which is wicked. Or you've just got that extra time to mooch around. Now, my life is very different now than it used to be, and because of that, I can plan a little bit different. And one thing I kind of always felt pressured of, especially this year with Beachhead. Big shout out to Kaijin Chicken for jumping in and helping Tio this year so that I could pop along with Libby having just been born. I'm not sure if I'm staying in Bournemouth, but I will not be required to leave immediately after the tournament. So I said to BT, I was like, I'll be in Bournemouth till 10:30. So on the Saturday night, we are going to do something. Well, I'm going to do something. You guys can join depending on what's going on with you guys, and also you guys can join depending on what we're doing. I think as we go into December, I'll probably just pick up in the Discord with everybody and be like, right, Saturday night, what do you want to do? Do you want to all go out and grab a meal together, or do you want to stay in? Because I spoke to Pete and Gary, the chaps who own and organise Entoyment. Like on the Saturday night, we'll have our area so that we can play games. So if we want to come back, like Milton said, like if we want to do something with sevens or like something like that, we could even do like a couple of games of sevens on the Saturday night. We could hang out. We can do whatever we want. We've got that time and space so that we can hang out with everybody. So I'm committed to just having a great time and seeing everybody this time, and then actually doing something with everyone on the Saturday, because we did try that last year, but it fell apart, and then we ended up in Spoons, hilariously, like one floor away from everybody else who was also in Spoons. So it was kind of like
that was the year before.
That was the year before.
it was the year before. Yeah, of course it was. Yeah,
Last year was
great.
Yeah, you're quite right.
It was just green skin Phil ruining Ben for the next day.
Yeah, that night became a blur.
That's where all the meme pictures came
Oh,
from.
The Sunday morning hangover. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I think you still got more sleep than I did that day.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that's kind of the cadence of that. I've never actually been able to get to a 2-day tournament myself. So this is why I think historically we've always done 1-dayers. I worked in retail my whole life, so I worked every other Saturday, which meant I couldn't do it. I could go to a 1-dayer or something. So being able to box out the time, I think what you guys said that really won me over is like, if people are boxing out the time, let's give them let's give them the full use of the time. So if you normally come to just the Sunday for sevens, we are really sorry, but this is something that we want to do because we've not done it before. We won't be streaming the event. The guys have been very clear. Thou shalt not stream the event because we want to just be there talking to people, playing some games, going out for the meal or something in the evening, just actually hanging out with everyone there, which I am very much on board with.
I want to clarify that though. Like, this is an iterative experience and we want to get this right and make it like really good, and then yes, we can definitely look at doing streaming and expanding on that experience for everyone. And I think it would be a really cool thing to look at doing. I know we've done it in the past, so we know that it's definitely possible, but as this is the first run out, we'll just we'll park that one for a minute.
Or or I'll get the guys to agree to some kind of member or super chat goal on the channel.
Oh God, no. Okay, stop trying to win us over. It's not happening.
Stop trying to weasel it in there.
Ben's portable studio.
Yeah, hey, I've still got
Wheeling
the
it into
stream
the
tent.
beer.
The stream tent was
Oh, the
genius.
stream tent. Yeah.
And I will say,
Yeah.
it was the only dry place in the Aegeus Bowl. So
That's very true.
That's true.
that's right. My 50 quid Argos ceiling was better than theirs. So I would love to do another event at the Aegeus Bowl. Maybe that's what we should look to do, Ben. Like, I know we're going to tone it back
I
on
think that'd be great.
on the tournaments, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe we could.
it's so easy to get to that one. Like to be fair, Bournemouth isn't the easiest.
And again, I think that doubles down on your whole, like, if people are traveling there, let's make it a destination and let's make it a destination event, as opposed to just being like, pop down to Bournemouth and pay, 25 quid to park for 2 days or whatever. It's like, actually, yeah. Now, talking about overpaying, let's talk about our team value for the event. So it is going to be an underpayment. We are 1100 team V, so 1.1 million builds. Most tournaments flag around 1150, right? 11.
Yeah.
But again, we try and keep that. Say we've always done a little bit of a barrier to entry minimization. Also, the more skills and the more TV, the more head crunching that goes on. So keeping it a little bit skinnier on skills and a little bit skinnier on TV keeps the stress
It's a different vibe.
a little bit less.
It's like a little it's kind of like a rookie tournament. Like your teams are less OP than they used to, and it shakes things up and it makes you think a bit differently with the roster building. Yeah.
I think
Everyone's missing something.
that's
Everyone's missing
key.
something,
You're playing your
Yeah.
team. Like, I find that if you've got like a 1300 TV tournament with a bunch of skills, everybody's team is like basically the same.
Yeah, they're all
Like,
done.
everyone's
Decent.
got Mighty Blow, Block Guard. Like, doesn't matter what team you're running. So you kind of like, if you're playing Black Orcs, you know how to play Black Orcs. This is just a better Black Orc team. Like, this is a Black Orc team after 4 league games, which is kind of where we want to be. So 1100 TV. But BT has sponsored this event with brush tithe tierings for this one. I know. I know.
I
He
got
said,
called out so hard on it. It's like this is like Ben washing his hands, being just like, "Hey, if anyone complains, your name's there." But it's true. Yeah.
so talk us through your tierings, Ben.
Yeah. This is just it's kind of based on vibes, kind of based on what I've
That
seen.
was
other
what I
events.
asked, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, is this based on data or is this vibes? And you're like, no.
Oh no, it's not data. No. It just feels right. Like there could be some other things, like Dwarf at tier 2 is debatable, but no one runs them, so that's why I put it in tier 2. But yeah, it's so we've got tier 1, we've got Amazons, Dark Elves, Lizards, Orcs, Skaven, Shambling Undead, Underworld Denizens, and Wood Elves, which I think is probably fair enough. We would normally, like GW, I think has Orcs at tier 2, which is just
which
nonsense.
is right. Just
No.
completely right.
Yeah, they're definitely tier 1. Tier 2, we've got the new Chaos Dwarfs, which again is like we don't really know yet. But I think that's probably fair. I think they border tier 3.
I think we know that they are not tier 1.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Dwarf, we've got Elven Union, High Elf, Human, Necro, Norse, Tomb Kings, and Vampire. Which I think they're all probably fair. And then tier 3, Black Orc, Chaos Chosen, Chaos Renegades, Imperial Nobility, Khorne, Nurgle, Old World Alliance, and Slan. This is one that I think is this tier is why I think a lot of places do 5, because some of these are not like the others in my opinion, but not yet tier 2. And then we've got Stunties, which is Gnomes, Goblins, Harpins, Ogres, Halflings.
I know you kind of wanted to put Nurgle down further, but I thought let's just leave a stunty tier. Then we avoid the questions of like, I'm running a tier 4 team. Is that Stunty Cup? Like, no, you crazy Nurgle coach.
Exactly.
My only flag from this listing was about OWA being tier 3. Because they have overperformed massively. But when you're playing at 1100 TV and with a slightly smaller skill package than other events, I'm comfortable with an Old World Alliance team potentially overperforming out of tier 3 because they're not going to get as much. They don't get that auto. So I actually think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. It was the one I moved, and the one why I'm saying like I think this one could be split, because I feel like OWA at like the top of this and Nurgle at the bottom of this, and I don't think they're quite on the same level. But as you say, it's lower impact. There's less skills than normal. So
Yeah, so it's not,
Probably
that
fine.
doesn't affect the team value. So this is not a tournament where you go, oh, tier 1, I got 1127.5, and then I've got 3 skills, 2 gold bars, and a partridge in a pear tree. This is literally, you take a 1.1 million build, and then you get some skills on top of that based on those tiers. And the tier skill list here, oh, that's I don't know what window that is, but it is not the one I meant to be moving. There we go. Let's move this one. So tier 1 gets 5 primary, no secondary, no mucking about. You get 5 skills. Yes, all 5 of them can be block,
Yep.
but 5 skills. Tier 2, you got 5 primaries and 1 secondary. Tier 3, you've got 6 primary and 1 secondary, and then stunty gets 6 and 2. So stunty always get a ton of skills. Gnomes could be fun. The thing is, a lot of stunted teams, they don't overly need those secondaries unless you're running big guys that you want to fight with. So your trees, your trolls, they're probably getting block, but they're still trees, they're still trolls, so never mind.
still let you down.
Yeah, exactly. The tier 2, tier 3 thing, so we're talking about OWA, they're going to get 1 extra primary skill over a tier 2 team. That's not game breaking. Like OWA with 1 extra skill, that's not oppressive. So going from 5, 5 and 1 and 6 and 1, I think it's still really tight. So if you're playing a tier 1 team, it's still going to feel like a tier 1 team. If you're playing a tier 3 team here, or a Games Workshop tier 2 team, it's still going to be a challenge. You're just incentivized to run it, because actually running a team with 7 skills, you get a little bit more agency. Now the skills cannot be stacked. You can take a primary instead of a secondary, and you can't give them to stars, but that means you've got that varied build. And before we talk about the way that's built up, we'll talk about stars here as well. So tier 1 can take a star player. Tier 2 and tier 3 can take up to 2 star player choices, or stunty can take up to 2 star player choices or 1 mega star. And stars will affect your skills. Mega stars, you lose 4 primary, and each star player you run loses 2. So if you run 2 star players in tier 2, 3 or stunty, you lose 4 primaries. If you run a mega star, you lose that. The only flag here is that star players who are taken as a bundle, so Grack and Crumbleberry or Drawl and Dribble, are 1 star player choice. So this is something that I do really like, because it means that this is one of those few events you can actually take Amazons with Drawl and Dribble, which I love the idea of. So
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Seems like a pretty good roster.
I think there's a great roster, plus 5 primaries, but you know, I like that one, because I think
It'll be 3 primaries.
it would, yeah, 3 primaries, which is good, because
Yeah.
then you've got to funge in the cost. So 5 primaries, block, leader. 3 primaries is, okay, am I going to have to give up the leader? That's just 2 block and a leader if I have to pay that extra reroll cost for Drawl and Dribble to keep my team at 11 plus stars. Like, it's its own natural cap, which I do really like. It makes it kind of like an organic, like Trips, you said it, man. Every team is going to feel like you're missing some stuff.
Yeah, and every team is probably going to want that 1 more skill to balance out. Often with these skill packages, you're like, well, I can put the skill on 3 of the 4 blitzers, but the 4th, can he have anything, or is he just a plain old vanilla?
Yeah, which I think keeps the game a little bit less complicated on the ground. So initial thoughts on the tiers and the skill packages, guys. Any hot takes on those ones, or are you feeling quite good about them all?
Well, I love it.
Good.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it.
Good.
Yeah, I just think this is great. I'm really looking forward to see what people make of it, what rosters we get out of it.
It's the same as it was before, except some of the lower tier 2 teams have got an extra skill. Like, and I'm all on board. All on board with that. We have turned up the tax for stars versus last Beachhead. Because of last Beachhead, you know who you are. We talked to you at Bonehead Bowl, didn't we, Trips? There was some.
And the other thing we should probably mention is the special star for Beachhead, of course, because Beachhead is the one tournament where you get to bring a special star along. And last year we did have a lot of the special star. The star will still have the tax, but yes, the Fen Beast can still be played.
He is a chonky boy, so any team can take the Fen Beast star player. The point of this is that this tournament is happening on the south coast. England is Albion in the Blood Bowl world. Fen Beasts and Albion go together perfectly, so it all ties in really nicely. So the Fen Beast is a star player that we've been running for a little while, because I love Fen Beasts in Warhammer back in the days of Shadows. The campaign, what was it? Shadows of Chaos? Can't remember what it was. Albion, Shadows of Albion. Don't know.
Shadows over Albion. I think
Yeah.
it's called. Yeah.
Something Albion, something Shadows. Anyway, the Beast of the Fens. Movement 4, Strength 6, Edge 5+, Passing Nothing, Armor 10+, Loner 4+, Really Stupid, Foul Appearance, Mighty Blow +1, Regeneration. Basically, he's a troll that instead of throwing people, throws better blocks at Strength 6. And 150k means that every team has now got access to a chunky boy. Like Trip said, we saw a bunch of him last year. The very first Beachhead was won by Chaos Renegades and a Fen Beast for the 4 big guy lineup, which was absolutely wicked. He's got no star special power. He is just absolute muscle, because that's all you flipping need. And any Fen Beast model is good to go, but we do have the one that Brute Fun sculpted excellently. And I loved seeing all the painted Fen Beasts last year. That was really, 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 really sweet. But yes, as Trip said. Talking to star players, he is a regular star player, so he's going to take up 2 of your primaries. He's not a star player of the mega star variety. Currently, now we mentioned this already, we're recording this before the FAQ lands. Bomber Dribble Snot, Cindy Pie Whistle, Deep Root Strong Branch, Griff Overworld, Hackflem Scuttle Spike, Creek the Verminator, Rust Gouger, Morgan Thorg. Those are your mega stars. Maybe what's his chops, the Rat Boy, will jump on there. If he does, then we'll update the rules pack and flag it up.
Yeah.
But
And we'll talk about tour play in a second, but I will amend that. And if you've got Skitter in your roster, you might need to remake it.
yes, that is a very good flag, because like Ben says, we are running this on tour play. Milt, which of our tournaments did we run on tour play earlier this year?
Summer team tournament.
Summer team.
Did you actually run that on tour play though? I thought.
Or was it Dungeon Bowl?
Oh no, no, you're right. No,
Yeah.
We did Dungeon Bowl fully on tour play.
Yeah.
The Summer Team Cup, you did the rosters on tour play.
Oh
and
yeah,
then
that was it, wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, Dungeon Bowl was fully on tour play because we ended up changing the Dungeon Bowl rule set slightly in order to make it work with tour play, and then we tried for the summer thing, but
Yeah, team stuff gets complicated on tour play. Because
it really
that's
does.
right. Because the Barton Bowl thing happened, and we were like, I tell you what, let's
yeah.
just do this one on Google. I think that one went really well. But the point is that tour play can run a vanilla tournament brilliantly. So we got the link in the rules pack and on the website for you to sign up. Make sure you go to the Entoyment, like the Beachhead site, and buy the ticket, because they're doing all that stuff. But register your team on tour play. We've said submissions available from the 1st, but Ben has overachieved and got it all set up already. So if you're ready to do your roster, you can do. They should all be hidden, so only a couple of us can have a look at them at the moment.
Just something to flag on that.
Yeah.
If you do run the Fen Beast, make sure you pick the package that is called Fen Beast, because he's not a star, you can't add the skill tax in the same way, because we limit it 1 star, but because he's a mercenary, we've added him.
That's
It doesn't
right.
count as a star for your slots, so it will just limit you accordingly, so you don't get confused.
Oh, that's a shame.
If you can't find the Fen Beast, do that.
I built him as a star mercenary. I was kind of hoping that would take care
Yeah, it
of it.
doesn't count as a star, annoyingly.
Why put
It
it
might
in the
do,
name?
but from testing it, I couldn't. Do
Yeah,
it, but yeah.
No.
That's a good point. If like you do run into any issues or whatever, just hit us up in the Discord.
Yeah,
We'll get it resolved.
excellent.
The Giant's available to everyone, so that's fine.
As he
Yeah,
should
pretty
be. I love seeing the
Go on,
Giants.
go on, Neil. Bring it
Yeah,
down.
the Giant liar.
No skill tax for the Giant.
Right, so we talked about Beachhead. We've talked about doing something on the Saturday night. We'll pick that up in Discord. We've talked about the skill packages. We've talked about the timings. The awards are standard. The scoring is standard. Everything's in the rules pack there. If a new team is dropped somehow between now and January, we will have it added. I think we said roster cutoff will be the first weekend in February, so like the 2nd or something. So it gives us a week. And the reason is we do want to have the extra time to check over the rosters, but really it's because we want people to lock their rosters in so that we can get some hype going, so that we can do a preview. We can be like, right, we've got Beachhead coming up. This is the team splits. This is my hot pick. I want to be able to do some like pre-coverage of the event, because why would you not? Because it's so exciting to look at a tournament and look and see what's coming up. So with that said, guys, I think that covers everything for Beachhead.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. So that's our next tournament. Let's take a moment to look back at our last one. Okay, as we look back, weeks and weeks and weeks ago now. Wasn't weeks, it was literally just a couple of weeks. We had Bonehead Bowl 2024. I can't actually think if this might be our 6th Bonehead Bowl, 5th or 6th Bonehead Bowl. And the purpose and the idea of it has been the same, basically, the entire way around, which is a 3-game 11s tournament at Entoyment, because Entoyment's amazing, but it's mixed teams. So the way we've allowed mixed teams to be built up in the last couple of times is with alignment. We've arbitrarily declared some teams order and some teams chaos, and they can buddy up. So you can take 2 teams if you've got at least 4 players from one of those teams. If you take that team, you get access to the star players, and you just means that, I think we calculated the other week, didn't we? There's like 600 plus different rosters you could take. And it's my favorite tournament of the year. Like, I'm really looking forward to Beachhead next year, but Bonehead Bowl is just the most absolutely nonsensical and creative of all of our tournaments, and I absolutely love it for that very reason. So this year we had me and Trips TOing, we had BT and Milton as odd mans in, and because we had even numbers, we got to play. I think we sold 50 something tickets, we had some dropouts, so we had 40 something players on the day, which meant you guys could both jump in and play. I am disappointed that for Trips we didn't rig the first round to make them play each other like you and Milton in the first round of the last tournament. That wasn't a rig the last time, it just was a beautifully happy coincidence. But this time you didn't get to do that quite so much.
Milton's grateful because he might not have had the result he did.
He might not have absolutely
Maybe.
smashed it. So let's not bury the lead. Milton, how did you do on the day?
Yeah, I did all right.
Casually going 3-0. Where's my window capture? There we go. So we've got full shot. So this was the teams on the day. We had Trips. I think we had a lot more elves than normal, didn't we, this year?
We had a lot of elf teams, a couple of double elf teams, but quite a lot of elves to get some edge in. And I think the star player tax made a difference for this Bonehead Bowl. We had a lot less star players, so some really interesting team makeups.
I was really shocked that less people took gnomes than I thought they would. I thought they would be everywhere. This is our first Bonehead Bowl since they came out, and gnomes unlock so many little things. Like, I mean, I took them for that reason, because you can get like the foxes, which are amazing, and then the beastmasters, which give you guard wherever you need it.
Yeah.
I just think like there's such good tech in those positionals.
How much are the
but they
foxes?
weren't actually as
50k?
like 50k.
So for
Yeah.
200k, you get 2 edge 2 plus movement 7 dodge pieces and 2, all right, strength 2, but edge 3 plus stunty guard pieces. So 200k,
Yeah.
like you say, for 200k tech, you get some excellent skill positionals. There was 4 gnome teams there. Human Gnome by Captain Oates, Ogre Gnome by Frodo, who was definitely shooting for stunty, Dwarf Gnome from GJ703 James, and High Elf Gnomes from UBT, with your goal of scoring a fox touchdown. Did you accomplish it?
No.
Oh,
His goal of scoring 10 throughout the day, but that just really backfired. Yeah, I got some help with the second round, but yeah. Yeah, no, it was the game plan on that was to use the gnome stuff to get the ball on the floor, and then the elves can take advantage of it. But it just didn't really work out. There's a lot of other stuff that goes around.
And Milt, talk us through your roster, dude.
Oh, 4 blodging ghouls, 4 orc blitzers, and 3 big uns.
It's just nonsense.
Did you have 2 rerolls?
3 rerolls.
Did you need 3 rerolls? Were you just
Not
showboating
always.
at this point? Should you have taken?
Not always.
Should you have taken
Yeah,
the
you
orc
have to pick up the
thrower?
ball once a game and nothing else.
It's a really interesting one because obviously, you get paired up and then you're against a particular team. And looking at some of the other team combinations, I think I could have really struggled if I'd been paired against them. And because the point standings were so close, at the top end of the table, like it was really just down to that like pairing situation. But yeah, no, I mean, I took, because I was odd man inning, I was like, I'm just going to take the 2 teams that I like running and I'm just going to smush my favorite parts of them together.
Turns out a very successful recipe.
turns out they're really damn good. Yeah. So yeah, it just worked. It was just one of those things that worked. I had great dice. My pink, and this is the funniest thing, the pink dice that Big Dan gave me have been absolutely atrocious. I love them and I keep using them, and I've rolled nothing. Like the game that I played using them before that, I rolled 15 ones and just got completely decimated, like almost got pitch cleared. But then that day it just worked and they were just on fire and I was loving them. So
We've seen that on Monday Night Blood Bowl, right? Like
Yeah.
Ben's purple dice. They tend to come back
pop
round sometimes.
come back round, yeah.
We did have some cool stuff in the first round. We had Kinney go 3-0 with College of Metal. I think there was a couple of college teams. Dalio went 1-0 with his College of Heavens as well. But it was really fun watching and listening to the guys as the scores came in. We had the Saxbys here, which was very cool. We had Randall and Rich, OG Rich, who got his first game was against Gazatola. If you've ever joined us for a live stream, Gaz would have been there hanging out in the comments. He is an awesome guy. It was the first time he's been able to get to a Blood Bowl tournament, and he chose to come down and hang out with us at Bonehead Bowl. And I was so excited to see him. I was so excited to catch him. I was so excited. Well, there's a load of cool people that we got to catch up with. And then Gaz got paired against Saxby, who was running like Tomb King's filth with
Snotlings, I think.
Tomb King's Snotling. That's right. He had a couple of Fungus Fingers and Cheney, and just I don't think he rolled less than a 7 on a d6, and just yeah, it was a 3-0. But Gaz was like, that was madness. At the end, I think Gaz went 1-1-1 and had a really good day out of it as far as results go. But it was wicked to see him. So what we think we had a couple of big scores. Was it this round? Oh,
Yes,
Trips table 18.
Yeah.
We had Master Wiggins and Daniel Cornors versus Skaven Shaw.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
8 touchdowns. That's now the
I
record.
don't know what happened there.
I've never seen a score that so many people went, you've put that in wrong, because that can't be right.
It was more touchdowns than the spreadsheet can handle. I had to go and manually make the cell green because I was like, no one's ever going to score more than 6 touchdowns. And then the old Priest pack, Papa Priest there, comes out and smashes it 8-0. It was a heck of a game. There were some brilliant games kicking around. And I mean, Trips, we talked about this before. Bonehead Bowl, the first round is so different to the rest, isn't it?
Oh, it's always that first round is not only are players looking at their own teams going, right, how do you play this lot, but also going, what have you bought? And often, why have you bought that? So there is a real discovery in round one as everyone goes, don't really know what your team does. And the coach going, yeah, I don't really either.
It's mostly people going, I don't really know what my team does. Ben, you had a bit of a shootout in your first round against Met, who's running Dark Elves and Norse.
Yeah, this is a bloody great game. Like the game plan of wrestling. This is game 1. This is why I just lent all into it, and I had like 4 attempts at it, and every single time, all the setup worked, and then the final blitz just fell over at the last bit. It's like double 2 the dodge in or whatever, or like fumbled the block. Yeah, it was it was good fun though, and a 3-2 is like a hell of a game. So
oh yeah,
and if the result is 3-2, you know it's a good game. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
And I think you went up against a stunty team technically in the first round, Milk. Your Orc and Undead team against Tomb Kings and Goblins.
Yeah, so it was the 4 Tomb Guardians and the Goblins.
Danimal trying to smash face there with upgraded trolls.
Yeah, it was really interesting matchup. He literally turn 1, he got kicked back on the chainsaw.
Oh, that's
the first
brutal.
action he did. Yeah, that chainsaw was useless for him. It kicked back like 3 times.
If you can stay on the pitch long enough for your chainsaw to kick back 3 times, you can't really consider yourself that unlucky.
Well, the game. What was the score again? Was it just? It was 1-0.
2-0, I think. 2-0.
Just about 2. Yeah, because the game consisted of me just dragging the Tomb Guardians around the pitch. They're so difficult to do anything with. You know, even with the big ones, I don't have the strength to outdo them. I can survive, but effectively, I'm guaranteed to be having a player knocked down.
The rest of you guys, can you hear the violin? Can you hear the violins there?
really struggled. Yeah.
I really struggled to win.
I'm not. No, I was saying it was an interesting game. I didn't say that it was like.
8 of the players on my team are probably the most efficient players in the
Efficient
game.
players in
I
the
just
game,
can't.
yeah.
I just.
No, I'm just saying it made an interesting matchup. Yeah, but it's the goblins. Just like after I'd managed to get a few of them out of the way, yeah, just pull the team guardians around and walk around it. So yeah, again, like I say, kind of luck of the draw really on the opening. But he won Stunty Cup, right?
He did, yeah. Second round, he
Okay.
got paired up against Drew and crushed through a 1-0 victory, which set him up in a really good space. Now, going into round 2, we had top table. We had a couple of crackers here. We had Master Wiggins off his 8-0 victory. We had Garfield, who is he's the wonderful guy. I called him out for his gentlemanly becoming attitude from the last tournament. I think I flagged him up on the podcast as just being like the way I saw him play was just really nice. And then he came to this tournament and he crushed face. I was trying to see what his first result was in the first round. He went 3-1 against Ollie Baldry. Ollie Baldry running Wood Elves and Elf Union. Last tournament, at the team tournament, he went 6-0, Ollie did, with his Wood Elves. So I should have just stuck with straight up Wood Elves. You know, Baldry boys there doing a heck of a job. So yeah, we end up with Garfield and Papa Priest on the top table. Skaven versus Chaos Dwarf and Orc versus Skaven. That is just such a really solid combo. And Garfield went and took it 3-2, so got to stick around to top table. And we had this was so cool. Bonehead Bowl tends to be a bit of a who's who of the Bonehead regulars, because on table 2 you had Rich Saxby versus Primhack, and it was just so cool to look down all the tables and be like, I know that player, I know that player, I know that player's history, I know what that guy's good at. It was really wicked to see. This was the round where Gazatola went in and drew 2-all Orc Skaven against High Elf and Dwarf. Right, so going into round 2 then. Where are you guys? Milton must have been pretty high up. Oh, you got Mr. Zero. Elf Union, Old World Alliance, and Acorn. So, okay, he fixed OWA and he took Acorn. And how was round 2 for you?
Yeah, again, just a solid game. I don't. Just taking some of the elves out, basically. Get rid of a few of those sort of key players, and then it was just kind of doing my ghoul thing.
Did Acorn do anything?
No.
Did you trips block him on turn 1?
I'm pretty sure I cashed. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. I think I cashed him
usually
in,
when you hit him, he dies.
Something. Yeah.
He's a one-time cruise missile. That.
He wasn't a key component to that game at all.
Oh my goodness. I've just seen your result from round 2, Ben, against Goblin and Norse. Titanium Boy, another who's who.
Yeah, this one was a bit of a story. So he the game doesn't really show what it was. So yeah, it's like, speaking of tiny violins, yeah, I won at 5-0. But the thing is with this game is I had to be scoring relentlessly because I was hemorrhaging players. I was losing a player a turn, at least. By the end of the game, I got totally pitch cleared. So it was a matter of can my elves score enough? And yeah, it turned out yes. That they managed to last until turn 13, and at that point it was kind of decided.
Relentlessly.
Titanium Boy was going for most casualties for the series. So
I think he did. I think he did all right in that one.
Going up against gnomes he was quite delighted actually.
Just free Kaz.
He got 11 casualties that game.
That's madness. Oh yeah, didn't you get pitch cleared?
Yeah, fully pitch cleared. Yeah. And he got an extra attempt at the casualty because he had an Apo that got the player back.
Oh my goodness me! So casualty more players than you actually had on the pitch, but still 5-0 is not to be sniffed at. Then we went into round 3, the last one of the day. This is the one that Gazatola went 3-0 against Adam Pike, who was running Goblins and Skaven. I can only assume that Adam was trying to foul too much and Gazatola was having absolutely none of it, which is wicked to see. Just the other thing to mention on round 3 is we had the Dunlop Bowl, right? We had Kaijin Chicken and Frodo paired up against each other. Orc Corn versus Ogre Gnome. And that one went down to the wire. I think that was one of the ones you had to go herd, wasn't it, Trips?
we had to herd them a bit, and there was the excitement of a tree man grabbing the ball in the middle of it,
Yes.
which led everyone to, oh, come on, the tree man's got to run. But unfortunately, that was probably the highlight of the game, if you don't know, as Nick decided to slowly pick his players off one by one by one by one. I think the highlight play in the second half, I saw a halfling thrown at 8 players with only 1 empty space. So you can guarantee where the land can die.
Yeah, couldn't do that again if you absolutely tried. If you absolutely tried. But that does mean that over on table 9, we had BT against Jandir Coldheart at Chaos Dwarf Underworld Hathark. He was going for the big boy build, wasn't he?
Yeah, this was funny actually. Thark was not as scary as I thought. It helped that he rolled like 1s on every dodge. That really did help. And I could foul him. But yeah, he was definitely a threat, but not as oppressive. But yeah, no, Jason just played this great. So
And did come out with a 2-1. I do like Thark. It was a cool roster. It was a cool roster. It was
a great roster.
All of the rosters were really clever and really well put together. But that odd roster where they're like, I have come to play this player and I've built around him, and at one game it's going to play out absolutely perfectly. And it's just so good to see. Now, over on the top, I think Trips, going into this, there was a couple of sub-stories, wasn't there? The first was that the top 8 players were all within a win of winning the day.
Any of the top 8 players going into the last round could win the tournament. And I think we also had for the series the top 2 players playing on tables next to each other, so therefore watching each other's play and results quite closely.
The scores were so close. They were literally just 2 points from playing against each other. This is Captain Oates and Dalio. So on table 5, Captain Oates was playing Stratford. So he was running Human Gnomes, playing against Dark Elves and Snotling, and pulled out a draw. This was really close for the top here. And then Neil versus Dalio on table 4. Elf Union High Elves versus Dalio running his College of Heavens, and we'll come back to that result later. But over on table 1, Garfield managed to stick it out, stick around, doubled on to the table 1, stayed on table 1, and his reward for playing well was to get to play against Milton. And how did that go, Milt?
Yeah, it was all right.
You must have been pleased to be playing against orcs, Orc Undead versus Orc Skaven.
Well, it was funny, wasn't it? Because I came after my second game. I came over to you and Trips, and I said, this Orc Ghoul build's really good. I was like,
guys, have you heard about this block skill? Like,
yeah, it's crazy. And what's crazy is they have.
Like, what's crazy is they have like all the skills. But I do wonder if like an Orc Gutter build would be better. And you turned around and said to me, well, I think there's like 3 or 4 of them here today. And I was like, all right. And you're like, yeah, like so and so's got one, so and so's got one, so and so's got one. And then literally, like, that was it. Like, the next thing was I was up against the Orc Gutter build, so I got to see firsthand which was better.
Well, which was better on the day. Yeah, we had Black Orc Skaven with Kai. Gaz was rolling Orcs and Skaven. Sam Light Scar was rolling Orcs and Skaven as well.
Yeah. It was. It was a great game. I think. It's an interesting one. That sort of that Orc Gutter build is phenomenal. It's definitely like really up there. I think Garfield got really unlucky with some of his dice, like really early on. And then Primac, who's on the table next to us, he goes, blitz, 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 and like rolls his dice and gets a blitz. And I'm like, I'm gonna have some of that. So I'm going blitz, 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 and I did that twice. And got a blitz
my god,
twice.
what a horrible person! Against what is one of the most certifiably lovely Blood Bowl coaches I've ever met.
I mean, he's such a good guy, and you know everyone I played with. And do you know what? My favorite thing about that day was being able to play against 3 people I'd never played against before, and people that we talk to regularly on the Discord. And I know I absolutely trashed them, but it was good fun to actually come up and have a game with them, and they were all brilliant to play with. It was just the early on. I got so he benched one of his 3 gutters. I think he had block, strip ball. Can't remember what the third skill was. And a thrower with leader.
All skills other than block don't exist to Bilton.
Well, yeah, but it was the block gutter that he pushed down the pitch for an early score, and obviously, like in my head, I went, forget about the ball. I'm just gonna go gang this gutter. Turned around and cased it straight off, like turn 1.
That's a huge hit. Yeah.
And then it was like, yeah, from that point on, and then like I say, like he was a little on the back foot with some of his dice rolls. But yeah, taking that block gutter out early was really good. And then of course the thing is I know that the gutters have got a bit of extra movement, but the ghouls being strength 3 meant that I could 2-die block the gutters like just straight up wherever they were.
It's matchup heaven.
Gave me that advantage.
No, well done. Went 3-1 for the win on the day. So coming in, looking at the standings, at the top we had Orc Undead, Milt 3-0, 141 points for Chaos Renegades, Underworld Mix from Primac himself, also 3-0, 136 points. Milt built him on a couple of extra tiebreaker points there. Dalio going 2-1-0 for 113 points for College of Heavens. Death Wish just behind with 112 points running Orcs and Dark Elves. We had Daz at 2-1-0 with Underworld Necromantic. College of Metal from Kinney. That was the other sub-story, is that Kinney, with a massive tournament today, could have actually just beaten. He was in the running. He was in the running in Game 3 for the tournament series, which was very cool to see. Bless him, he had no idea. The Pharaoh himself doing a smashing job. Also at 2-1-0, Duncan Baldry and Captain Oates. Duncan was running Humans and Wood Elves. Captain Oates was running Humans and Gnomes. We had Sam Like Scar, Garfield, Treadworth, Jandir, Neil, Ollie Baldry and Inevitable Pest, all going 2-0-1 there. So we had Sam Like Scar, Orcs and Skaven, number 10, Garfield, Orcs and Skaven, Elf Union Human at 11, 12, Chaos Dwarf, Underworld, and Hathark, yes, of course. Then we had Neil C with Elven Union High Elves. We had Wood Elves, Elven Union with Ollie Baldry, Human Wood Elves with Rupert, Inevitable Pest, and then we had Dark Elves Snotling, Stratford. Not a roster I can recall, but I really like the idea of that one. That's quite cool. We had the 1-1-1 pack. We had Saxby with his filthy Tomb King Snotling Cheney build with Human and Elf Union with Crabbers. We had Orc Corn, Kaijin Chicken, Corn and Norse from Daniel Davenport. We had Orc Skaven, Gazatola. Cracking result for the day there. Came in 21 out of 42. GJ 703 James, Dwarf Gnome, High Elf Dwarf Steve White, Orc Human, Novelty Bobble 25. We had Tomb King's Goblins, Danimal, who did take the Stunty Cup on the day, which was wicked to see. Mr. Zero. Is it Mr. Zero? We'll have to come back to that one. I know Mr. Zero is one best team in one of our events. I think it might have been this one. I'll check the sheet in a second.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was this one.
Yeah, with the wicked Underworld team. Not Underworld, Old World Alliance team, sorry. Yeah. We had Skaven, Chaos Dwarf, Master Wiggins, who went 1-0-2, so just used all of his luck to get all the touchdowns in the first round, and then got punished in the rest of the rounds there. Neil, Giant Liar, Undead Necromantic, 1-1-1. Some guy called Bloodtithe, 1-0-2 with High Elves and Gnomes at 29. Malfas met just the best dressed coach on the day, Dark Elves and Norse there at 31. I've skipped Nathan there, who's running Corner Norse at 30. Nurgle Ogre at 32 with Davos. 33, Drew Blood, who had a pretty unlucky day, running Necro and Tomb King, sticking with the undead stuff for the Sylvanian Cup. At 34, we had Human Black Orc McKinsey. We had Chaos Dwarf and Dark Elf Randall Saxby, who was really there to murder face today, as he always does. Wednesday at 36 with Corn and Human. Goblin Skaven for Toxic 6 at 37. Ogre Gnome Frodo, 0-1-2 on the day, running that, shooting for Stunty there. Chapinda Chris, Underworld Skaven Hack Flem. Chris was trying to run the 6, 7, 8 gutter build list or something. 7 gutters. That would have been powerful, but yeah, a lot of gutters means a lot of targets. That was wicked to see, though. Goblin Norse at 40 for Titanium Boy. Kai came in at 41 with Black Orcs and Skaven and Orc Human to take the participation trophy. Roy had a beating of a day, but it was wicked to see so much so many cool people, and just so many cool teams, and it's just such a good event because when you've not got the threat of your NAF rankings going down, like playing against silly stuff, when you can kind of everyone just came to play 3 individual games of Blood Bowl for the sake of playing Blood Bowl, and when that it's funny, I think we talked about it, didn't we, guys? Like sometimes you go to a tournament and your biggest thing you want to achieve is to not have a terrible, like not fail massively. This took that away because you're gonna fail because it's mixed teams nonsense. So it took that stress away. I think Milton, you were talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm again, it's a funny thing for me being sat on top table because I'm normally happy with a sort of 1-1-1. I call that a win, walking away with that. And yeah, but for Bonehead Bowl, definitely, like the atmosphere at Bonehead Bowl is always fantastic. It's super chill, super friendly. Everyone's there to have a good time and have fun. And yeah, you kind of take away that sort of intensity around it. And there's kind of like this craziness to it because I think we were sort of talking about it around the Beachhead stuff. Like a lot of the kind of standard 11s tournaments, they're already sort of figured out a little bit, and you kind of know where things are going. You can kind of guess the certain trajectory. With this, you've got no idea. You could have like one really good game, one really bad game. Like you could come against a completely different team. There's too many there's too many variables involved in it for you to work it out. So every round's a surprise, and it keeps it interesting. It keeps people talking.
I think it's bang on the money. Right, let's do the roll call, and then we'll go into how the tournament series results finished up. In first place, we had Big Beck Milton. Stunty Cup was Danimal. Best team was Mr. Zero. Participation trophy was Roy. Most TDs was 11 on the day, which was Master Wiggins. Scoring 8 in the first round was monstrous. Most Cars with 19 on the day was Titanium Boy. And when you're performing 27 fouls in the way that he did, and also took the most fouls Dirty Player award, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, Titanium Boy was, and to be fair, Papa Priest, Master Wiggins also had they had some very clear objectives, and I feel like, sadly for their opponents, they achieved the heck out of. But no, Bonehead Bowl was fantastic. It was lovely to see everybody. It was great to see you guys. It was awesome to see so many coaches that travel from all sorts of places. And like Milton said, like people you recognise from Discord. Just the Monday night chats like Chris Stevenson and Gazatola, and it was just so wicked to see everybody. It's
also
so good.
Big shout out to Primat for being such a gent. Like the picture that was posted. He was just genuinely being nice and trying to duck out the way, but it made him look so miserably like complete second. But he's like the nicest guy, and like it's always a pleasure to see him at every tournament. And he did so well because he went 3-0 as well.
Again, he has been.
I just wanted to say big shout out to him. He's also going to be running a tournament in September next year. I'll put some details up on Discord so he gets a shout out.
Definitely. If we can get down to that one, we can get down to that one. Right, let's move on to the tournament series. Okay, so the tournament series for the year, we ran Beachhead 7s, we ran Dungeon Bowl, we ran the Summer Tournament Cup, and we ran Bonehead Bowl. And we wanted to intertwine them all and just make your games matter. So we ran a tournament series this year that basically said you get to keep the top 3 results of any tournament that you go to. So if you play 5 tournaments, your top 3 count. If you go to 3 tournaments, your top 3 count. If you go to 2 tournaments, you only get 2 tournaments, but you still get those points. And the idea is the points and the touchdowns and all this kind of stuff adds up so that at the end of the year, we have a roll call of the best, not the best players, but you could argue they're the best players. So all of this is available on the website, on the BPTS page on our Bonehead podcast. And I know you guys have already seen it in Discord and they've already talked about it and the flowers have already been shared, but we're going to do a roll call of how this season ended. Let's give it a bit of a zoom in. There we go. Right, because it was so close. At the top, we had Dalio with... oh, yeah, there we go. I have organised it. Came in at 360 points. Had a stonking first few tournaments and needed to just spike at the end. Captain Oates right behind, 350 points. Third place, we had Kinney. Then we had Primhack. Then we had Sam Like Scar. Then we had Drew Blood and Deathwish at number 7. Kaijin Chicken at number 8. Crabbers number 9, and Master Wiggins at number 10. So those are the top 10 Bonehead tournament series coaches for the year. But if you just look down the roster, the top 25, like the top 100, the top 120 players, that joined us for tournaments here. It's so cool to see. You got BB Knight, Buster Gut there. John came in 12th, Inevitable Pest, Neil C, James Malfas, Neil Giant Liar there, joint 16th, Ollie Bouldry, Titanium Boy, Novelty Bubble, Jandeer, Duncan Bouldry, Baron 1, Frodo, who Frodo committed to playing Stunty all year, still ended up within the top 25 coaches, and Daz there at 25. And it's really cool to see Wednesday coming in 31, Orkster there for the beginning of the year, and I think we got Milton came in at 36, and Trips is there in the top 51. But it's so cool. It's so cool to see at 42 for you, Ben, given that you only played in what, 2 events. That's not bad.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's very, very, very cool. So I love doing this, and a massive thank you to everyone who came in and joined in with the tournament series. So those are your top 10. In Stuntyland, come on, Google, you've got this. Frodo did take it with 240 points. Playing Stunty for all 5 events and having a couple of 40 burgers, but did a really good job in the other ones. Came in 240, 30 points cleared. Nixon, second. Luke D, third. Toby B, Pava Blocky. Greenskin, Phil there. Must have snuck in a tournament. Yeah, he did. Beachhead.
Just one, yeah.
Look at that. Spiked it with 113 points, put it in the top 10. Your name here, Lachlan, Titanium Boy as well, I think spiked it with a tournament. And Chipinder Chris Stevenson, top 10 Stunty, doing that as well. It's wicked to see. Even Wayne's up there. Now, we also combined touchdowns. Now, touchdowns and casualties and fouls were for all of your events combined, because we felt like, actually, you know what? That's going to be a fun way of doing it, and I stand by that decision. Master Wiggins for the year, 31 touchdowns across 5 events. Dalio and Ollie Bouldry joint second with 22. So basically, Papa Priest could have just skipped Bonehead Bowl, and I think he might have still won, because he's an absolute touchdown machine. And as a Warhammer World Touchdown Award winner, I am a big fan of touchdowns. Like, it's the most exciting thing about Blood Bowl. I know that Milton disagrees hard, but, you know, touchdowns are more fun.
I may have changed my mind now.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Apparently, that's how you win.
I've heard this. Well, sometimes. Sam Like Scar with 21 as well. Primac and Deathwish both at 20. Drew Blood and Crabbers both at 19. Frodo, Stunty Champ, 18 there. And Adam Pike with 17. Kaijin Chicken, Duncan Bouldry, Kinney, Melfus all at 15. Captain Oates at 14. Like, so let's see where you guys landed. This is the fun thing about doing this, is you can kind of... Milton, 7 tournaments, 7 TDs for the year. Ben must have done more than that, because he did 5 in one game. There you go. 11 TDs for the year. Wicked to see. I mean, 31 casualties, 31 touchdowns over 3 events is very good. 51 casualties might be better. So Titanium Boy absolutely smashed face. I think most of these came from playing against Ben, but 51 casualties all games, just absolutely stonked it. That is amazing. I'm not sure we'll ever reach that peak again. Dalio with 33 there as well. It's like in second place. That's 20 players difference. And Titanium Boy with 77 fouls. Luke D came close with 53, but Titanium Boy taking both the Bonehead most casualties and the Bonehead most fouls of the year is so cool. So you got Master Wiggins 31 touchdowns as the touchdown champ, and Titanium Boy as casualties and fouls, with Frodo as the Stunty champion and Dalio as the Bonehead champion. And if you're interested in the regions, they're also on here somewhere. Here we go. And we'll quickly blitz through these, because the other thing we did is you could pick a region that your team would play in, and, you know, we would collate the results slightly separately for that as well. So the Badlands Brawl champion was Deathwish with 316 points. Kaijin Chicken was right there behind at 307. The Elven Kingdoms champion was Neil C at 276, with Malfas just behind. To be fair, Ollie Bouldry was right there as well. Yeah, 276 points for first, 270 for second, 265 for third. It drops off there, but those 2 were really in it all the way through, especially Ollie Bouldry. Just absolutely spiking some TDs and Met getting there over BT. You helped him get second place with that one, Ben.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you see? Got casualties.
First one as well. Yeah.
Oh, were you in the green for that one?
No, sorry, for Chaos.
Oh,
I just
I was
saw.
gonna say. Yeah, right. So
yeah, no, I was helping out with that.
Favourite of Chaos with 333 points was Primac, who did an absolutely stonking job, was really hungry for it. Wednesday was second place, 217 points, but Primac was absolutely gunning for Favourite of Champion and really crushed it. BT is there, so we've got Wednesday, Jandir, Peel, Buster Gut, Pagan Agent, Blood Tide there at 7, Big Dan at 8, Triangulon and Carle 9 and 10. So BT coming 7th spot, top 10, Favourite of Chaos. Did you run Corn at some point?
Yeah, it was Corner Beachhead, I think. Yeah.
Lustrian Super League, poorly boy, crushed it, I think, at Beachhead. And McSnagger, second place, 166 points. Old World Classic, which I think was our most hotly contested. Turns out there's some good teams in Old World. Dalio took it, 360. Captain Oates was also there, and Kinney, third place. Not surprised to see those three, given the overall standings. Underworld Challenge, 301 points, 60 points clear, basically, was Master Wiggins. So you had Primac going for Favourite of Chaos. You had Papa Priest going for most touchdowns and Underworld Challenge and getting both of those awards, which was fantastic to see. And then Sylvanian Spotlight was the last one, and Drew got this comfortably. He had a bad Bonehead Bowl, but great results earlier in the league, giving him 327 points, putting him 60 points ahead of Neil Giant Liar, with some really solid work. Miltonio Banderas there at number 5 with 207 points, so top 5 Sylvanian Spotlight player. I think that's because of your Orc Undead team there, Milt, just absolutely spiking you into oblivion.
Can I say, what did I play?
And you did Undead in the team one, didn't you?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I assumed you wanted the Undead points for mixed teams.
I hadn't really thought about it. But,
No, basically for everyone here, I kind of went to see if it was a mixed team and they hadn't told me like I want to do this one. I looked at where they were highest and assumed they'd want to go for that. So for you, Milt, I assumed because you'd already posted a good result with Undead, you'd want the Undead points in there as well.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'll take 5th.
Let's see where Trips came. I think he ran Norse, didn't he, in the team? He came 22nd in Old World Classic. But I mean, I loved doing the tournament series. I thought it was a ton of fun. Obviously, next year, where we've only got currently planned in Beachhead and Bonehead Bowl. I know we're kind of saying we might do something else. We're not sure. We want to focus on running a couple of really good tournaments because, guys, I mean, way in here, there are so many other Blood Bowl events around that
that's a huge thing for us. Like when we started doing this, there weren't quite so many, and now there are so many fantastic tournaments being run around. You know, even in our area, but just generally across the whole country, there's huge interest in Blood Bowl. Loads of good tournaments being run, and I think for us it's really good that we have the opportunity, the venues that we've got, and you know the consistency with our players, and really appreciate everyone who comes. And getting to see you guys and just the general atmosphere that we have at our tournaments, I think we really appreciate that. But focusing down on running 2 really good tournaments next year would make me very happy personally.
Yeah. Tour play makes it easier for the most part. It does create its own challenges, but it means you got to do things quite in a vanilla way. And we've always tried to do something slightly different. So the team tournament is slightly different. Dungeon Bowl was slightly different. Tour play sort of helped for both of those, but also brought its own challenges. Whereas Beachhead, it's one event, like over 2 days. It takes the pressure of running the event off, which means we can maximize seeing everybody and enjoying the Blood Bowl aspect of it, which I think I'm really excited for. And Bonehead Bowl, not a chance in hell is that ever going on tour play, despite Milton giving it a good old go with the tour play guys.
I did ask.
They just lolled you, like that was it, wasn't it? It was just LOL send.
They were nice about it. They were kind of like, what are you on about?
LOL smiley face send. Yeah, it's wicked to see. But I mean that from a personal point of view for the three of us and Trips as well, it frees up our calendars a little bit. So because something we kind of have is like, right, can't do anything in January because we've got February because it's an event, because January brews up into the February event. We can't do anything. We can do something in March. We can't do anything in April because that brews up to Dungeon Bowl and we've got to focus on that. Can't do anything in June because that brews up to July event. Then we get August off, and then we can't do anything in September because we're brewing up to Bonehead Bowl. And it's like, it's that, it gives us that freedom of, we're all in different places in our life, but now that means that actually, oh, I've got nothing in the calendar now between February and October when we start brewing up for Bonehead Bowl. So if there's an event that we would really love to go to, if, you know, one of us was getting married, like, we don't have to worry about like, oh, there's loads going on. It's a case of no, actually we can prioritize doing the things that are really important. And it means that we can chuck the extra resource, because tournaments, generally speaking, are quite a loss leader. Like, doesn't really matter, we want to run a good event, but it just means that that resource and effort, we can do a better job of putting in the right place. So
Yeah, 100%.
oh, and you know what Blood Tie's like, though. He might be like, oh, in the summer, well, I think I'm going to run a 2-day event just because I want to do it.
And then I'll leave it over to you guys and go to a different one.
I was going to say, then I can come and stream it. But yeah, but wicked.
Summer Ball. We'll look
Good
forward to
times.
it.
Right, we're going to wrap up at that point. Milton, thank you so much for coming on and showing off. It was so lovely to see you.
Always a pleasure.
And BT, always cool hanging out. In fact,
Yeah, thank you.
I don't have a question for you for Monday. Oh, no. I was just going to ask which one of you guys is going to odd man in at Beachhead.
Oh, I think we'll odd man out.
Oh, good
Yeah.
idea.
As many playing as possible.
Good
Yeah.
idea. Good idea. Right, with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking.